German Confederation. They've also got Hungary, which is outside of it, and Northern Italy, which is outside of it. And then, totally separate, we've got Rome and the Kingdom of Two Sicilies, so the southern, middle and central and southern Italy. All right. And also over here in the German Confederation, there's also going to be Frankfurt, which is not in Prussia. I forget which state it's in. All right, so in Prussia, in the city of Berlin, we have riots in March, okay? Riots in March, and what they are rioting for, they want a constitution. They want a constitution, they want constitutional monarchy. What ism? No, constitution. Liberalism. This is a liberal revolt, liberalism. Because they are looking for a constitutional monarchy. Prussia is a country. They don't need nationalism. The ruler here, Frederick William IV, he rules 1840 to 61. He's not interested in giving in, okay? He does not want to have a constitution. He also doesn't want to fire on the demonstrators because he blames foreign agitators. However, he does finally give in. There's a little bit of bloodshed, and he appoints, actually, he announces elections for a body that will write a constitution. By 1849, Frederick William has decided that the assembly, which is supposed to write the Constitution, is not doing what he wants. So he dissolves it, and he writes his own Constitution. 1849, the Constitution. This is the Constitution of Prussia, of the Kingdom of Prussia. However, stick a post-it note there because when we create Germany, guess what? Germany is Prussia on steroids. All right, so this will give us a constitutional monarchy. So we're going to keep Frederick William and his family, keep the hereditary monarchy. We will, in fact, have a two-house legislature, so the exec, monarch, legislature, bicameral. But here's where it gets, yes?
I'm sorry. The Prussian Constitution was made by Freddie at the same time Louis made the Constitution in France?
Well, no, Louis isn't the one doing the Constitution in France. This is 1849. No, you're right, Louis Napoleon. But different countries. Everything. These are separate countries. That's
was it
what.
because of the same thing, or
yeah.
did they just have the same?
No.
Coincidentally, because Prussia is over here.
Yeah. Well, remember what Metternich said. France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold. So France had the beginnings, starting in February. By March, we've got uprisings in Frankfurt, in Berlin, in Munich, in Vienna, in Budapest, in Prague. There are revolts everywhere. But each revolt is a little different. The one in Berlin, they are saying we want a constitution. We want a constitutional monarchy. It is a liberal revolt. They are influenced by what's going on in France, yes. But Frederick William is not really going to let them have what they want.
Yeah, I thought France didn't want Prussia to even exist, but Russia and Austria.
Okay, we've gotten past that, okay? We've gotten France, after having their butts kicked, once Napoleon I is out, France doesn't know it yet, but it's a second-rate power. France will attempt, under Louis Napoleon, under Napoleon II, 1851, 52, actually 48 to 71, they're going to try and do all sorts of major things on the world stage. They won't actually accomplish much of anything. And in fact, under Louis Napoleon, that is when the French salute officially becomes I surrender, because they're gonna lose. But they're not in a position to dictate terms to Germany, or to Prussia, okay? So it's merely, it's like the United States and Canada and Mexico. We coexist, we influence each other, but we can't tell each other what to do, in theory. Let's tell that to the United States.
That's the town of Frankfurt, right? Like the city of Frankfurt in Germany?
Oh, yeah, Frankfurt is a city. Prussia's a country, Frankfurt is a city, you're right, I shouldn't have it underlined. But I'm talking Berlin at the moment. So let me erase Frankfurt, we'll bring Frankfurt back, because that's something different happens there. But Prussia is a kingdom. Berlin is the capital of Prussia. Frederick William IV is the king of Prussia.
Oh, so Prussia's Germany?
No, Germany doesn't exist yet.
What, will be?
Will be, yes. Germany will be, in fact, Prussia on steroids, which is why this constitution matters. Because when we create Germany tomorrow, it's going to have this constitution. All right, so this is not a liberal constitution. Yes, we have a constitution, but this is what we call a pseudo-constitution. It is not worth the toilet paper on which it is printed. The franchise is really weird. Basically, we have universal manhood suffrage, but it is a three-tiered voting system. I'm going to erase this because you need to see this. It is a three-tiered system based on wealth. So it's not one man, one vote. Your vote has value according to where you are in this system. And rather than try to go into every single aspect of it, we will simply say that the wealthiest 5% elect 1/3 of the legislature. Okay? So it's not, this is not a normal voting system. This is not reasonable, just, or even logical. We do have universal manhood suffrage, but, and it's manhood. Again, remember, testosterone, okay? Women don't have the right to vote. But the votes of the wealthiest 5% produce 33% of the seats, populate 33% of the legislature. It's not 1-to-1. It will be revised in 1850 to add a key little change, okay? The 1850 revision says that the army and the ministers, when I say ministers, I don't mean guys with backwards collars, I'm talking cabinet, the people in the king's cabinet, the ministers of education, finance, etc. The ministers and the army and the officer corps take an oath of loyalty to the king and only the king. This is what we call pseudo-constitutionalism. It calls itself a constitution, but a true constitution, a true representative government, is one in which the ministers and the military are responsible to the elected representatives of the people. In this country, who has the right to declare war?
President.
The president is the commander-in-chief. He does not have the final say. It is Congress that declares war. It is Congress that decides to sign peace treaties, or not, as the case may be. Here, the Army, the ministers, finance minister, prime minister, minister of trade, etc., they all, and the officers' corps, answer directly to the king. They are responsible to the monarch, not the representatives of the people. So, it's not a real constitutional system. Just in case they are responsible to. Just so you get the point. Key. Why do you need to know this? Because when they know the loyalty and are responsible to the king. Because in a truly representative government, these people are responsible to be representatives of people. This matters for several reasons. One, tomorrow when we create Germany, Germany is Prussia on steroids. So when we create Germany, the German constitution is going to be this constitution, which will keep this system going, so it's not a true constitution, and will also mean that within this new country called Germany, as of tomorrow, it's dominated by Prussia, because the legislature, it's not just the wealthy, but it's also Prussia has more seats than anybody else. This constitution, in one form or another, will continue to be used until 1918. That's why it matters. We are creating a fake constitutional system, which means, let's face it, this is still an authoritarian regime that is not truly representative. Which means in 1918, when they lose World War I and we create a brand new republic, that republic will have no real experience in true representative government. So this, because this is what will become Germany, this is what dooms the Weimar Republic to failure. Okay, so as you are doing the reading, 24 is the international kleptomania, but 25 and 26 lead up to World War I, consequences of World War I. Don't do all the battles, please, please, please. I don't care about the battles. It's causes and effects. History 111, they screw up by giving you every single battle for the 100 Years' War that they don't need. Here, they give you not enough on Napoleon, and then they give you every single bloody battle of World War I. Don't focus on the battles, causes and results. I'm not going to ask you battles, results. All right, causes and effects. But this, if we look forward, this is what's going to lead to the failure of the Weimar Republic, which will lead to the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party, which will lead to World War II. It's all here. All right. Meanwhile, in Austria, same time, exact same time, we have uprisings in Vienna and Prague and Budapest. Technically, this is two cities, Buda and Pest, but let's just call it Budapest, it's easier. Oh, and yes, and in Milan. So we've got uprisings throughout Habsburg lands. First thing that happens is Metternich throws in the towel. He resigns. He says, okay, I've kept things going for 33 years. I'm out of here. So he resigns because he's not, the poor man, old man. All right? So, our emperor, this is Ferdinand the First, rules 35 to 48. So he's gonna resign at the end of all this. In Vienna, that's within Austria itself, we have students calling for a constitution. It is a liberal revolt in Vienna. The emperor and his court at first try to deal with it, but basically, after a very short period of time, they flee the country. So he flees May to Innsbruck. That's in the Alps. Okay, so he leaves. Leaves a committee in charge. Government by committee. Never the best idea. Okay, but the thing is, this region, Austria, Bohemia, Hungary, northern Italy, the further east you go, the less industrialized. France has been industrializing. Industrialization does not truly hit this area until later on, which means what we have here, we've got students and some intellectuals in the big cities. But mostly, we got farmers. Mostly, we have farmers. And therefore, in that corrupt and inefficient government, middle class discontent, mass discontent, the group we need to get on the side of the government, the farmers. So, what the emperor does is they abolish feudalism, okay? Actually, they abolish serfdom. The rest of it's pretty much gone. Mind you, that looks like it's a good thing. It isn't quite as good as it sounds, because the former serfs owe a large indemnity to the nobles. So we are abolishing serfdom. The peasants are satisfied. There had been more serfdom in the East than there had been in France. So most of the peasants in this part of the world were serfs, not free. By abolishing serfdom, that's the vast majority. It will make it easier to deal with the liberals. It will make it easier to deal with the middle class, because these people, they got what they want. It doesn't come without a price, but they don't know that yet. Okay? All right. Over here in Budapest, I'm going to give you a couple of names now. I've been sparing the names, but here you do need to know. The leader over here in Budapest is Lajos Kossuth. What's happening here is a combination. We have liberalism, yes, because they want a constitution, but we've also got nationalism. Kossuth and the revolutionaries in Budapest have a two-layered revolution, okay? They want a country called Hungary. So, part of the liberalism is the Hungarian Diet, and the Diet is what you call a representative body or a legislative body. That's just the term they use in that part of the world. The Hungarian Diet passes a series of laws in March, okay? The March laws. These March laws do the following, and please notice how incredibly liberal they are. 1, they abolish serfdom. 2, they decide that There will be equality of religion, okay, so we're going to allow religious freedom. Austria, the Habsburg, they are Catholics. So whatever other religions are, it's a Catholic state. Kossuth is allowing for religious freedom. Because guess what? Hungary, which actually extends over here, will include a variety of minority religions. All right, what else? Amazingly enough, the Hungarian Diet votes to make itself bicameral. It's been unicameral appointed nobles, and they decide we want an elected lower house. This is incredibly liberal. We're going to elect a lower house. We're going to have relatively free press. Not completely, but relatively free press. And the nobles vote to tax themselves. Kind of amazing that Kossuth gets this through. They want to share representation with the non-nobles, and they're willing to pay their fair share of taxes. It's astonishing. Okay. But there's a but attached. Because of this, they are trying to get, if not independence, at least autonomy. And as such, they are not 100% that they want these rights and freedoms to apply to non-Hungarians. Hungarians, by the way, are also called Magyars. Okay? So what we have here, and you do have some fairly decent maps in your book, you can see that within the Habsburg territory, there are a whole lot of minorities. And again, you have to understand, it's not about skin color. It's about ethnic heritage and language. And yes, they're all more or less kind of pasty-faced white people, fine. But they're very different, okay? Because you have in here Magyars, there are Germans from Austria, there are Magyars are not Slavs, there are Slavs, Slovaks, Czechs, Poles, there are Romanians, there are a whole lot, there are Transylvanians, yes, Transylvania, it does exist. A whole lot of different languages, different groups in that territory. And they're willing to extend liberal freedoms to Magyars. They want, because it's so important to them to have Hungary to be this autonomous state, they want to make the official language Hungarian. I have news for you. Hungarian is a very hard language to learn, okay? Everybody in the Habsburg lands is multilingual, okay? Everybody has to speak German because the Austrians speak German. So everybody speaks German and Czech, German and Slovak, German, whatever. But now the Magyars want them to learn a new language that's a lot harder. This is what's going to give Austria the opportunity to undo this. Because Austria is going to play the divide and conquer. Austria, Ferdinand, his committee, they will send messengers to the various ethnic groups within Hungary and say, look, what do you want? Domination from Vienna, which you're used to, or domination from Budapest, which will require a whole new language? Divide and conquer. Talk to the various ethnic groups and say, look, you're used to us. We've already done this, we're going to abolish feudalism, not a problem, get rid of serfdom. Listen to us, not them. That will make it possible for this to collapse on itself. Plus, Russian troops will come in and help put it down. One absolute monarch to another, yes.
Sorry, did you touch on nationalism, or, I'm
Yeah.
kind of confused right
Okay.
now.
All right. We have two separate things going on here. Liberalism, so that's representative government, tax everybody, freedom of speech, freedom of press, blah, blah, blah. Same time, we want a state called Hungary. And we want Hungary to be dominated by Hungarians, which means these rights, the liberal rights, are not for minorities, they're only for Hungarians. So this is nationalism coming crashing into liberalism.
And this is all taking place in Budapest?
Well, in Budapest and Hungary. Budapest is the capital of...
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, I understand
Yeah.
a little bit now.
And, yeah, the map in your book will show you, because this is 1918 Hungary. This is after they lost World War I and got cut into little pieces. Hungary, in their mind, in 1848, was quite large. And it includes a whole lot of different groups. And as idealistic and as liberal as Kossuth's ideas are, he might be willing to apply them to people who aren't Hungarian. But there are an awful lot of Hungarians who say, no. Freedom of the press as long as you're publishing in Hungarian. Freedom of speech as long as you're Hungarian. That's one of the things that de Tocqueville was talking about, the tyranny of the majority over the minority. All right, so the clash between these two causes the failure of this revolution. I'll let you in on a little secret. All of these revolutions fail. They all fail because the goals clash. All right, but moving on. Let us look over here at Prague. What we have in Budapest are Hungarians. Here we have Czechs. And yes, that's a weird spelling, but that's how you spell it, Czechs. They are a Slavic people. The leader here is a fellow by the name of Francis Palaki. And we are having our first revolts and gatherings up here in Prague. Okay, this is territory belonging to the Austrians. And Palaki and the Czechs demand autonomy for Bohemia. That's where it starts out. First thing we want, this is first and foremost nationalism. Autonomy for Bohemia. But then it expands, because by a little period after, I'm going to erase this, abolish feudalism, because I need the space. It grows from just a revolt against the Austrian Habsburgs to something larger. A Pan-Slavic Congress. So first we start out nationalism, March of 1848. We want autonomy for Bohemia. But then by June of 1848, we are holding a Pan-Slavic Congress that includes Slavic peoples from all over Europe. So it's no longer just the Czechs in Bohemia. We have Slavs from under the Russian rule, Poles. We have, actually, let's see, Czechs, Poles, Slovenes, Slovaks, Croats, Serbs, Ruthenians. Yeah, a whole bunch of Slavic peoples. Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Romanians, Serbs, people from all over. Slavs who are under Prussian rule, Slavs who are under Austrian rule, Slavs who are under Ottoman rule, even Slavs who are under Russian rule, you'd think, you know, Slavs and Slavs, but you already know that the Russians have been mistreating the Poles, right? Since 1830, they've had forced Russification. They're not allowed to speak Polish, they gotta speak Russian. The Poles are Catholic, the Russians are Russian Orthodox, so they are feeling oppressed. So the Pan-Slavic Congress is calling for autonomy first from foreign rulers, and then starts to talk about having one united Slavic state, one big pan-Slavic state. And if you look at the map, you think about what they're suggesting. Create a state of all the Slavs. They want no longer being oppressed by foreigners. That's not unreasonable. But if we create one big Slavic state, what does that do to the balance of power in Europe? It's going to be huge. The rest of Europe cannot allow this to happen. The Pan-Slavic Congress is incredibly idealistic as well, okay? Starts out talking about brotherhood and love and all that. But it scares the crap out of the rest of Europe. It scares the crap out of the German-speaking peoples in the German Confederation. They don't want to be under Slavic rule. It scares the crap out of the Ottomans, out of the Austrians, etc. Then we add something to it, because it's not just nationalism. We've also got some radicalism. Yes. In addition to the folks at the Pan-Slavic Congress, by, again, June of '48, we've got students, always students, who want democracy. Radicalism. These are people who want democracy. Abolish the monarchy. Oops, abolish the monarchy? That's a little scary. End result, Prussia sends troops. Put down the revolt in Bohemia. Why would Prussia do that? Well, it's right next door, people. And this pan-Slavic state would take territory away from Prussia. So yeah, Prussia, we've taken care of our people, we send our troops down and put down the revolt there. Turns out that there are enough people in Prague and within Bohemia who are afraid of the radicals, afraid of the idea of democracy. Remember the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie are not interested in sharing power with the urban laborers. So there's enough fear of the radicals that the Slavs are willing to, they're willing to see the revolt get put down. It's not that radicalism conflicts with nationalism, it doesn't. But the nationalists are afraid of the radicals for totally different reasons, and they're not sure. Okay, what about over here, Northern Italy? This one is really obvious, okay? Heck, Lombardy and Venetia, they were given to Austria 1815. They're Italians, they don't want to be part of Austria. So in Milan, March, we actually managed to, sorry. I'm sorry. You gotta do that, otherwise I forget. All right, so let me give you back your stuff.